but getting back to your point, there are three types of foods that can raise uric acid. One is alcohol, and alcohol causes a breakdown of ATP, which is an energy substance. And when that happens, you can generate uric acid. So when you drink a beer in particular is the one that's the most strongly associated with uric acid. If you drink a beer, your body will start producing uric acid within 30, 40 minutes. And then the second one are these things called purines. And purines are the substances in meats and plants that are important in nucleic acids. And so when you eat a high purine diet, you can generate uric acid as well. And the classic ones are things like shellfish, like shrimp and lobster. They're like the most famous for generating uric acid. But the big bahana or whatever, the one that you're talking about, the big elephant in the room is sugar. And sugar is a carbohydrate, but it turns out that it consists of glucose and fructose bound together. And when those two sugars are bound together, it makes up table sugar. And table sugar, when you eat it, it breaks down to this glucose and fructose. And fructose is unique in that it causes a degradation of ATP, somewhat like alcohol. So, sugar and alcohol have a lot in common. And when you eat sugar, the fructose breaks down ATP, and that generates uric acid. And that can happen within minutes. So it was known back in the 1890s, a long time ago, that besides eating, rich foods and alcohol, that gout could be precipitated by eating sugar. And sweets were considered in port wines and sweet wines and alcohol type can stimulate uric acid production. So it's been known for a long time that fructose and sugar can stimulate uric acid production and induce gout. So my work was really interested in the actions of uric acid, because everyone was saying, well, you know what, uric acid is really a waste product. It's a waste product from these nucleic acids, and we get rid of it. And yes, when the concentrations go up, it can form crystals and cause gout, but it's not in itself, doing anything except being a waste product. And in our group, discovered that uric acid is actually biologically active, and so it turns out that it actually has a role in activating the processes that cause obesity and diabetes. And what we found was that the uric acid, when it builds up inside the cell, it acts on our energy factories. And our body makes energy. When we eat food, we make energy, of course. And so that energy is called ATP. And that's the active energy we use. And if we store energy, it's in the form of fat. And so there's really two forms of energy. There's the energy we store, which is like fat and glycogen or starch. In plants, it's starch, and animals, it's glycogen. But we can store energy, or we can make energy. And then the energy the active energy is called ATP. And what we found was that the uric acid affects the production of this active energy, and it reduces the amount of active energy that's produced, so that the food that we eat is actually turned into fat. So it actually helps stimulate fat by preventing the body from making the active energy and instead making more stored energy. And that's how fructose works.
What's really interesting, and I want to emphasize, is I talk a lot about ATP and energy, or true cellular energy, not the energy from coffee or a monster drink, but that true cellular energy. And here we are eating fructose, eating food, and it's stealing our energy, right? So we're not
That's exactly
getting
right.
out of it from what we want, but it's triggering an addiction to our brain. And I try to tell my kids this. So my daughters are athletes, but they too will want to have an apple juice instead of the apple to get that quick energy for their workout. And I tell them, that's actually stealing your energy. You're not going to perform as well. And your body's going to tell your brain that you need more food to gain more ATP or more true energy, because all of that fructose is just going straight to fat or fatty liver, right? And causing insulin resistance and all of the metabolic issues. But there's this disconnect of what our brain is telling our body and what our body's telling our brain as far as energy goes. So if you want to touch on that or really dive into it, I think this is a super important concept for
Yeah.
people to understand. And this is why when you are eating a lot of processed foods with a lot of fructose, you keep eating a lot of food with fructose because you're
Exactly.
addicted, and your brain is saying, well, I need more food because I'm not getting what I want from it, right?
Yeah.